Hey everyone, just a quick disclaimer here just before this video starts. This video is quite short, but I've decided this was actually going to be the next video, like a part 4, but I'm actually going to release this at the same time as the previous video, which I'd already recorded. So you'll notice this week there's 2 videos released side by side. And this is because this one is too short really, and something didn't really go to plan in the second part, so it's not really ready. So yeah, I'm giving you a 2 for 1. So apologies for that in advance, but I hope what I cover between this video and the previous video makes up for it a little bit. But yeah, I'll let the video run. Thanks. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. This week what we're going to do is we're going to continue on from the Deathmatch series and hopefully get a little bit more going. So one thing that we're definitely going to cover in this one is dying and respawning. That's going to be like the main focus of getting complete in this bit. And then after that I'll just see what I feel like, to be honest, and build on that. So let's get straight into it. So I'm going to open up the UE4 ASP character, the one that we've been building in. And I'm going to look for receive damage and die. So where we receive damage, once obviously we've took enough damage that we eventually die. We then die and we try and find out who's killed us and add a kill to the score. But when we die, let's have a look what we're doing. So at the moment we call the die event, and then we set our body to simulate physics and fall on the floor. We disable input, disable movement, and then we add a death. After that, what we want to do is so all these are going to be called almost immediately. We're going to lie on the floor for a couple of seconds, which we're going to enable with a delay. So we're gonna sit on the floor. So just to confirm, we're on the die part of the blueprint. I think 3 seconds is an ample time to die for. So rather than, I mean, you can set this to whatever you want. If you just want like an instant respawn, like on Call of Duty, you know, it's literally on some of them are, you know, the split seconds. But then on some of the other game modes, they're a lot longer. So I guess depending on your game mode, but we're building a deathmatch, so 3 seconds is probably just enough to watch yourself fall to the floor, and then the respawn's going to happen. Then we're going to want this respawn function. Now, there are probably a couple of ways to do it. But what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to tap into the respawn function that's built into the game mode. So I'm actually going to build a specific function which is going to connect to the game mode, do all that for us, and then we're just calling one little node here. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a function. So add function and call this where am I spelling? Respawn player. Respawn player. And I don't think I've got any inputs, but just for the sake of it, I'm gonna put. Oh no, you can't. Never mind. There's no output either, so let's forget about that. So respawn player. One of the first things we're going to do is we're actually going to get a reference to our character controller. Now, I'm actually going to set this up as a local variable. Now, the difference between a local variable and the regular one is this local variable will only be accessible with inside this function. So when I go back to the event graph, I will not be able to see that variable, which is fine because it's only going to be unique to this. So if you are creating functions going forward, if it's going to be unique to this specific function and you've no need to see it anywhere else in your code, make it a local variable. So I've made a local variable here. I forgot to rename it before I started talking about it. I'm just going to call this controller ref. Now the type is going to be controller. I seem to be struggling with my spelling already today. So I did that a little bit quick there. It's controller. Now when you select that, it'll default typically to the object reference, and that's exactly what you want. It should be a blue circle. Now what we're going to do, first thing is we're going to set that, and from that we're going to get controller, and that should be under the pawn setting. Now the reason that we're going for get controller where the target is the pawn rather than get player controller is because I'm hoping that when we go and turn these characters into AI robots, not necessarily robots, but AI characters, because the AI is going to be based off the main player character, I'm hoping that what will happen is when I kill those, they'll also respawn with the same code. That's my theory anyway, so you know, fingers crossed on that one. Right, so the other thing is the game mode for this to work requires the character to be destroyed. It doesn't require it actually, but it's cleaner to do so. You can restart a character without them being destroyed, but it's better to destroy your character first, because essentially what that does, it deletes your character from the game, and then it restarts it from scratch. So what we're going to do is a simple destroy. It's destroy actor, not character. Destroy actor. Now because this is built with inside the character, it targets itself, so don't worry about that. Next we're going to need to get the game mode, because what we're going to do is we're going to cast to the game mode. Now ours is first person. A cast always requires the type as an object to be passed in. So if you cast into your player controller, you need to get the player controller to cast into it. If you're casting into your character, you need a reference to your player character, which is fairly straightforward. Once you've casted to that, now let's just show you this. So as the first person game mode, we now get this function, restart. You can restart the player, you can restart the player at the player spawn, you can restart it at a specific location. Now I'm quite interested in that one, because I'm thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we could set up a couple of spawn points across the map, which obviously I've got a basic map, and it'd be good if the game randomly picks one of those spawn points for us and puts me there. Rather than spawning back at the player start all the time, we can spawn at a random place every time. I think that'd be perfect. So we're going to do that. So before we finish this respawn player, let's set up a couple of those. So go back to your example map. Now down here in the sort of browser, I'm going to right click and I'm going to get a blueprint class. And I'm going to search. If you don't have this search, you want to just get the all classes here at the bottom and open that up. And I want a target point. There we go. Target point. Now you'll notice the icon's got this sort of weird plus sign or circle with a cross in it. Actually a target, but press select. And then let's give it a name. Let's call this spawn. Oh, what's going on here? Did it auto save then or something and knock it off? Right click. Spawn points. So now you've got this this blueprint called spawn points, and when you drag him in the world, it's literally just like a little location, and it's got this nice little widget so you can see where it is. But what you'll also see is it's got an arrow pointing forward, so your character will face that way if we spawn here. What we can do is, I'm actually going to change my perspective, change my view to top, and I'm going to drag these into the appropriate location. So I'm going to drag this into that corner, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab another, drag it over here. Now because this red arrow is pointing this way, it's actually the way that these default is the default pointing forwards. So typically where the red arrow is pointing is which way it's going to be pointing. So if I just press E, I'm going to spin that around 180 degrees. Now you're probably going to think, well, that arrow's still pointing that way, but by default they are pointing that way. So these two are going to be looking at each other, but there's a block in the way, so that's fine. This guy is going to be pointing at a wall, so let's press E and rotate. But this time I'm only going to go -90. So now if we zoom in, we're actually pointing this way. But he's not going to be able to see the other character because of these blocks, so I'm happy with that. Because we don't want any spawn killing to go on. And then let's drag another out. And that one's pointing against this wall. So these two are like facing away by naturally. That's fine for me. I'm going to go from top view back to perspective. And just before I finish up with this, I'm just going to drag these up just a little bit. Let me jump down here so that I know it's not too high. That'll be fine. I'm going to select that one. I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. Now I'm doing this just so then the spawn point's not on the floor, and I'm hoping that'll just prevent our characters from messing up. Now typically when they spawn, they'll know that they're clipping in the floor and they'll probably push it up just a little bit. But I think if it's flat on the floor, then that's giving the engine the least chance of spawning correctly. So now I've got spawn locations. Perfect. So what we can do now actually is go back to our UE4 character. And we need to get a reference of all these target points. So what we can do is we can say get all, and then here now highlighted should be actors of class. Now because we've just picked a target point, that's a particular type of actor class. So now we could search for target point. And what that'll do is it'll find all target points within our game. Now, let's say further down the line you use target points for something else, or let's say your player spawns and your AI spawns are different. Now, they're both going to use target points. So what you can actually do is instead, you can put spawn points. And this should only pick the target points that are called spawn points. So you could have this actually, where I've put spawn points for this, you could put character spawn points and then AI spawn points and have two separate systems. So this is going to find all my spawn points because I'm not bothered. I'm just going to have everyone spawn in the same places. And what that'll do, that'll create an array. Then what we can do, we can say, well, I only want one at random, to be honest. Now luckily that's an array option. Please get a random item. And then from this blue line, it comes in here, picks a random one, and then it gives you the index, which is where in this list. So this is going to be a list of 4 because we've only put 4 in. So each one that it finds is going to be given 0, 1, 2, 3, because that'll then be 4 items. This will give you the index number of that. So you can do something with that if you like, but we can also get an entire, like, we can get a reference of that object in the world, so we can get its location. So what we could do is we can get transform. Get actor transform. So what this is going to do is it's going to find all the spawn points in the world. It's going to pick one at random, and then it's going to get its location data, which then we can feed into our restart. So with all that in mind, let's drag off our game mode. Let's put restart, and then restart player from at transform. Let's drag that over here. If we can now connect up the actor transform of our spawn point, and let's just double click this one here just to make it a bit near. And I'm going to do a second one, I guess. Yep, that looks alright, I guess. And then we've just got this box here, new player. Now that's going to be our controller reference, so we can drag that in. Pop that down here, I guess. Yeah, I don't know which way it looks better to me. Could move. Put that there like that. Move that up. And then I don't know, I'll leave you to rearrange that, but essentially that's it. That's done. So when we call this respawn, we're going to get our controller. We're going to destroy our actor, so we're going to delete everything. But before we do that, we're going to continue this bit of code. We're going to cast to the game mode, and we're going to say, can you spawn a new character, please, at one of these spawn points. Hit compiled. We don't get green ticks, that's good. And we don't need this respawn player anymore, unless something goes wrong in just a sec. And then what you could do now, you can either drag this, place it on this arrow, and that'll connect it up. Or you could have right-clicked and put respawn, and you'll get the same function. So now, this little square, this function, is calling all that blueprint we've just made. So, we need to die now. Let's hit compile, we've got a green tick, let's hit play. And let's go and die. So there we go, 3 seconds, respawned. To be honest, I should have put the respawns a bit closer to the death cube, but nonetheless, let's go and die again. And then we spawn. Now, as well, because we destroy the actor, we don't have loads of dead bodies all over the place. Which is a good thing. You know, come over, we die. And we're dead. Now if you right click, not right click, I meant tab. The scoreboard actually says 0 kills and deaths. So let's get a kill. So we've got 1 kill now. And let's see, let's just check, see if that character's just respawned, because he's died and disappeared. Okay, he's not respawned. Now I know he doesn't have a controller, I know he doesn't have an AI controller just yet, but I just want to test this theory out. So I've got a kill. I've just died, I've got a kill and a death now. They've just reset to 0. Okay, so I think I know what's happening here. By default, this kills and deaths is set to 0. So when we restart the player, we're resetting this kills and deaths back to 0 because the defaults are 0. So we actually need to track the kills and deaths outside of our player. Okay, so I think we're gonna have to use the game states, player state, and game mode. I'm just gonna have a pause. I'm gonna have a think about it, and then I'll come straight back. Again, as the video's just ended there, as I said at the beginning, this video was actually intended to be a lot longer, and it was meant to be for the next video for Sunday. So I do apologise that it has been cut off quite abrupt there, but things didn't quite work out. So I've decided to tag this onto this week's video on Wednesday rather than this be a long video for Sunday. Apologies for that. But with that being the end of the video, thank you for watching. If it did help, consider giving me a like, leave some feedback. I really should have planned this project out from the start, which I do normally with the others, because I am running into more issues now as I'm getting towards the end, which is causing this series to slow down a little bit, so I do apologise for that, but please bear with me. We will get through it together. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.